Hey all, just thought I'd do a quick collection update video as I've recently moved everything around. It was originally residing in my kitchen of all places. It's done that for over 2 years now, but it's outgrown the space, so I've brought it upstairs into its own, well, not dedicated room, but almost dedicated room, which I've denoted by this rather fetching Japanese Transformers the movie poster. But anyway, this it shares the space with my computer and a few other bits and pieces. So excuse the mess because I'm still in the process of sorting everything out as I smash into everything with the detail floating and all. Well, anyway, it's just going to be a quick collection update, starting with my original MP10 and MP36 up the top here. They have been retired. Gone but not forgotten, obviously. They're enacting a scene from the G1 episode where Megatron creates an evil Optimus clone. I've forgotten the name, can you believe it? I watched it last night while I was going through my Transformers episodes, and yeah, unbelievable. I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments what it was, or will tell me. I'm going to look up after this, but I think these guys have served me well, but don't really fit the aesthetic, or at least MP10 doesn't fit the aesthetic of my collection. Megatron has been usurped by a pretender, shall we say? Well, I'll go into that in a bit. But I do like that I've got the option of having them displayed like this. They look pretty cool, and I love the trailer and roller. You've got our little Spike in there as well. I've got my Hasbro Rodimus Prime up here as well. He's all boxed up with his accessories because I'm looking to sell him and move him on. If anyone wants to buy a reasonably priced Hasbro Rodimus Prime, make me an offer. Moving down, we come to one of the big boys in my collection, the combiner that I never had as a kid, the Hunter Extraordinaire Predaking. He is represented here by the KO oversized Feral Rex, which is a floppy mess, really. It's kind of propped up in this Detolf. The sword's helping him not to lean over as far as he would ordinarily. They didn't improve the joints enough, to be honest, when they oversized it, so it can't really handle the weight of the gun or well, just the sheer weight of its own bulk, to be honest. But I think this is a really great looking figure. I've got the upgrade kit for it as well, so I've got articulated hands, a different head, different chest piece that's articulated so that the mane can disappear in robot mode, and the individual bots have got upgraded hands that rotate because the orientation was wrong on the original ones. It also comes with a separate Catilla figure. Again, it's, you know, as a display piece, it looks great. I think it's much better than the Power of the Primes one, or even the oversized KO of that. Or actually, I don't think it's oversized, is it? It's just improved. But anyway, I still think this is the best representation of the character model as it originally appeared. And I really do like this. And you know, for what it cost me, I think it's a great piece, just a display piece. I don't really ever intend to disassemble it and transform it, but just to have it on the shelf, I think it looks great. Speaking of which, we have here the other combiner that I always desperately wanted as a kid but couldn't get, and that is Devastator. This is the Combiner Wars version, which I think is the most aesthetically pleasing of the available versions. I know the third-party ones are bigger and arguably better. Certainly quality-wise they'd be better, even the oversized KOs, but I still think that this suits my collection a lot better than they would. This is the European version of the figure as well, so it has the more accurate animation face. The individual bots aren't as good as the Unite Warriors bots, but as I said, this is going to be a purely combined mode Devastator for my display, and I was lucky enough recently to be able to find someone who was upgrading theirs with an upgrade kit, so I bought the purple hands off of them for a £5, and I now have an even more animation accurate Devastator, because that was one thing that always bugged me about the European version of the figure, or the Combiner Wars version I should say, the Hasbro version, that it had the wrong colour hands. Don't know why that was, but there we go. I also like that the size serves as a reference for Zeta's upcoming Unicron figure. I'm not going out on the HasLab Unicron. I don't like the look of it in robot mode. The planet looks really sweet, but the robot, I don't like the look of all the kibble and some of the colours and design choices. It's also at least 2 years away, and at 27 inches, it's just huge. It would be the biggest figure in my collection by at least 3 inches then, and that's just, I don't know where I would even put that, even as a standalone display piece. But given that Unicron doesn't scale with anything, having him at 48 centimetres, which is around 18.9 inches, which is around what this figure is here. I think this is 18 on the dot. But having it around this scale, I can kind of get a sense of proportion for it. I know that I can put this on a shelf on its own, or sorry, put the Zeta Unicron on a shelf on its own and just have it as a display piece. So the Devastator serves a good purpose in giving me a frame of reference for that as well. Moving over, we come to the KO oversized MP08 Grimlock, the King Grimlock Reximus Prime, whatever you want to call it. This is the animation accurate version, or close to animation accurate, rather than it being chromed or cel shaded. The Dinobots are the only Season 1 characters that I don't have from the Autobot side. I only have Grimlock. The reason for that is that I got in too late on them, so they would cost me probably about £1,000 to pick up now. Also, I'm not sure whether I will want to go for Fans Toys or Giga Powers Dinobots. None of them really fit the aesthetic of my collection either, because they're not super toon accurate. And also, I'll be honest with you, as the years have gone by, I'm just not a massive fan of the Dinobots. Like, I like Grimlock because he had a prominent role in the comic, and wasn't that dumb character from the cartoon. He had a more of a personality, although they did dumb him down over time. But I just feel that, you know, the Dinobots are not characters I love. I did like Swoop a lot as a kid because he had a good comic book storyline with Dive Bomb, but also because I couldn't get him, he wasn't available in the UK, so I never had the toy, whereas I had the original G1 80s Dinobots that were available over here, never him. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I don't have the others. But I do really love this oversized one. It scales a lot better than the original MP version did. Some might say it's even a bit too big, but when they first appeared in the series, the Dinobots were freaking huge, so this does actually scale pretty well with Prime and other figures. Moving down, we come to Bag Cube's Evil Bug Corps, which is their take on the Insecticons. I'm not going to lie, the Fans Toys bugs are probably the best looking overall. These suffer from Bag Cube's usual issues with feet and boxy legs, and the Fans Toys ones do have a slightly better aesthetic, a slightly better finish on them, although do have some issues as well. These do look the part though. I think they're good. They were really cheap considering, you know, Fans Toys ones are super rare and super expensive now. These were 130 quid all in for the set. I think Kickback looks the best. He looks really good. Shrapnel's not too bad. Bombshell probably the worst in terms of blockiness, but they were quite blocky bots, to be honest. I do like the fact it's got the colour change gimmick built in, so Fans Toys you had to buy either purple or grey chested, and you were stuck with the wrong colour in one mode, whereas with this it's purple in bug mode and grey in robot mode, although the grey is too dark, which is a bit odd. Could have made it a bit lighter, but still it's a nice little gimmick, and they fill a space on my shelf. I think they're good. I'm sounding overly negative about them. I do quite like them. I just think that I'm not going to pretend that they are the best option. Moving down, we come to the aforementioned biggest bot in my collection. Sorry for the shaky camera work as I move. This is DX9's Gabriel. I had a bunch of QC issues with this when it first arrived, seized joints. I think I was not the only one. There's a huge, thread about that if you want to read it on various Transformers forums. The representation though I think is fantastic. I think it's the most G1 accurate of the Amigas. I really like it. Now that I've used silicone spray on the joints, it does actually move. I don't use it, I don't manipulate it a lot because I am kind of worried it will break, and DX9's after sales support is non-existent. I think it does look really great though. The ratchet, actually the ratchet that sheared on mine was only the shoulder pad on the left hand side, so it still works, it just doesn't make a click now. It's still stiff enough not to be an issue, so really, although it annoyed me that it broke within the first hour, I'm glad it was that broke rather than one of the main joints as happened to a lot of other people. I do think that the arms are at risk of breaking over time, which is why I just keep him in one pose really, but yeah, he looks super cool. But can you imagine a Unicron 3 inches bigger than this? It just, like, where the hell would I put it? Anyway, moving down we come to Fans Toys Phoenix, which is their masterpiece Skyfire / Jetfire. Fantastic looking figure, still one of my favourites. This is the original release, not the X variant, so it has the sort of mismatched reds. I don't know how well you can see it. The reds on the, you probably can't see it in this light actually, but you have a weird metallic red on the legs there, and then this more toon accurate red up here, and you have the non-pearlescent paint, whereas the X variant comes with reds that are matched and slightly brighter as well, I believe, and a pearlescent paint, which makes it more of an off-white. I actually prefer the original release from a looks point of view. The metallic red on the legs doesn't really bother me, to be honest. The rest of the figure is so fantastic. I really liked Jetfire as a character when I was a kid, but it did bug me that the toy didn't look like the animation model. This is pretty damn spot on, and yeah, it's one of my favourite figures in my collection. Moving down we have the Masterpiece Trax, which is one of the worst MP Carbots that I have, if not the worst in fact. Not really a lot to say about him. I picked him up cheap. I think it's a KO, to be honest. I got it as part of a bundle, so that's the only reason I really have it. I did like the character, or I did like the toy actually, I should say, because the toy was really cool, and I still think it looks pretty smart. But yeah, it's not a great looking figure. Powerglide here, this is a KO as well. This is the Art of Duplicates, pretty damn close to the DX9 original. I think it looks fantastic. This was really super cheap as well. It was $27.50 delivered. It comes with its own little Astoria. Again, I'm not a massive fan of Season 2 bots, but I picked this up because it was great, and it was super cheap, and I thought my little boy as well loved Powerglide for some reason. He latched onto him as a character, so that's why I've got him. Smokescreen here, this is the original deco because the Plus version isn't out yet. I don't even think I'll buy the Plus variant, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Season 2, or not enough to spend 60 plus quid on this. This came as part of a bundle with the 3 Nissans that I bought originally. That's the only reason I got it. I do like the deco on this though. I think it's pretty smart looking, so I mean, never say never. I might upgrade because I'm very, into the toon aesthetic, but we'll see. Here we have X-Transbots Cosmos. I only really got this because it was a slow month and I haven't even put a faction symbol on it yet because I've had it for a while now and I just haven't got around to it. I really need to do that. I'll try that later tonight actually. But it looks fantastic. It's such a good looking figure, but annoyingly mine has a defect where one of the foot panels doesn't tab in properly. You might be able to see it around the side. It sticks out. I've actually got it sort of not glued on, but glue tacked on at the moment. I did contact XTB about it. They were originally quite responsive and have since gone dark, so I need to send a follow-up email to get a replacement foot piece. But even so, just as a static piece like this, he looks amazing, I think. And I like the metallic finish. I don't regret picking him up, even though I do have a little paint chip on the foot developed after it came out of the box. The yellows are slightly mismatched as well, but that was the case on the animation model for the lower legs, but I'm not too sure about the arms. But anyway, it's a really great little figure, and I heartily endorse anyone to, or heartily endorse the figure if anyone's thinking about it. So let's just move around. As you can see, I've done a few bits and pieces with the display itself. I've put a couple of Transformers the movie posters up, both the US and the UK variants, both of which I really like. And I also, a while ago, I picked up these light-up faction symbols. They're really great. They can either be solid colour or they can pulse. So I don't normally have them on, obviously, but I've just turned them on for this video. The top of my Detolf here I've got a couple of random bits. I've got the Rodimus Prime, Rodimus Prime combat deck, a couple of 80s G1 Dinobots, Grimlock and Slag there, and my Toon version of X-Transbots Boost in alt mode, as I still haven't decided which one I want to keep. I go back and forth. On this side I've got Snarl and Sludge and 3 Autobot cars in alt mode, which I have kept because I've since replaced them with the Plus variants, which you'll see in a moment. But I like them, I like the decos in alt mode, so we'll keep them there as extras. And along the top as well, I've got a few more G1 80s figures. I've got the Seekers, Starscream, Skywalker and Thundercracker, my original Jetfire, which I've still got most of the bits for, not all of them, but most, and my Super Valkyrie, which was my evil clone of Jetfire. That I actually had 2 of these. I love them. I don't know where the second one went, but it was one of my favourite figures as a kid, even though it wasn't a Transformers. I used to pit these 2 against each other. Here's the Autobot, here's the Decepticon. Speaking of 80s stuff, I had a Detolf left over after I reorganised, so I decided to take the opportunity to display some of my 80s G1 Transformers, specifically the Combiner teams. So here you can see we've got Defensor, Superion and Computron, all looking pretty good. These are all complete as well. I've got all the bits for them, so they're pretty cool. And going down, we've also got Menasor, Bruticus and Abominus, again all complete and still looking pretty sweet. As we go down even further, we come to Piranacon there in the back. He's complete apart from his right fist, which I'm sure is somewhere, I just haven't been able to find it. And Jawbreaker stroke Overbite is there as well. I've also got Galvatron, Scourge and Cyclonus, the original G1 toys. 3 of my favourite characters and toys of all time, so I just had to have them in there. All a bit squished up, I know, but you know. And moving further down, I have what are probably the best condition of all the Transformers from the 80s that I have, the Headmasters. So we have the Autobots there and the Decepticon Headmasters down there. Now, they are all pretty much complete, apart from Skullcruncher's Nebulan Headmaster partner, which is why they're all in alt mode at the moment, because I was going to put them in robot mode, but it would look weird without a head for Skullcruncher. So I know it's somewhere. It has to be, because I saw it a while back. Once I find it, I'll probably convert all of these to robot mode as well and have them stood up, because they're all a bit squished up again in alt mode. And my little boy unfortunately broke one of the rotor blades off of Highbrow there. But I forgot how much I love Snapdragon's alt mode. Yeah, not all of them have great alt modes, it has to be said, but Snapdragon's I always, for some reason, I like. Moving over, we'll come to my Autobot Detolf, and here we have Magnus and the official MP Magnus. This isn't the KO, this is the official one, so it's actually not as good as the KO in some respect. He has the butt flap and everything. And the V3 reissue of Rodimus Prime, which is why my Hasbro one is for sale, because I much prefer the animation accurate deco. Not the greatest figure, and I'm sure someone like possibly Fans Toys or X-Transbots will do a better version one day that doesn't have the silly Rodimus stroke hot rod size change gimmick. They can do a proper dedicated Rodimus one that doesn't feel like it's going to break. But just to have this in my collection, I'm really stoked, and it didn't cost me the stupid money that people on eBay wanted it for it, which is great. Moving up, we come to the other Season 3 shelf. You'll notice that there's a bit of a gap in the Season 3 collection. I don't have a Cup, Springer or Blur. Blur will be rectified soon, because Fans Toys Jabba is on the way. I think that's coming in October and it looks fantastic. The reason I don't have Cup or Springer is that I'm not 100% satisfied with any of the current offerings, so I'm waiting for X-Transbots to pull their finger out and release their versions. I really hope they do before the other ones become too expensive. If I can't get the X-Transbots ones, or they don't come out, I will probably have to hunt down the Fans Toys versions of the characters, because I think they're the best overall. It will cost me a hell of a lot more then, so it's a bit of a gamble, but you know. I don't want to buy something as a placeholder really. I'd rather wait, see if the X Transports renders turn out to be as good as they look in finished form. Anyway, so what I do have obviously is I have RC here in Fans Toys Rouge, which I think is a great looking figure, a bit of a bitch to transform, but it really looks the part, much better than Azalea, LMC's Azalea. We have one of the worst figures in my collection, X Transports Ollie, their wheelie. Looks the part, looks really nice in robot mode, really cool, but it's flimsy, flaky, feels like it's going to break, it's loose jointed, and this is the version 3, God knows how bad the 1 and 2 were. We have Exosuit Spike stroke Daniel there, depending on who you want it to be. We have Hoodlum, which is the best looking in robot mode of the Hot Rods, I think, but still not particularly great figure. Has its issues with paint chipping and limited articulation. I've actually detached the shoulders so that they can sit lower where they're supposed to sit instead of the way they are when they're officially configured, where they're way too high. I just think the reason I didn't get the Masterpiece Hot Rod is because it's way too small in robot mode and it's got weird proportions. So while this isn't a great Hot Rod, it's certainly the best looking one in this mode. I've got the KFC Junkions in the back, which I think look really smart. Again, these were a bit of impulse purchase. Yeah, I don't think Dumpyard holds much of a place in my heart from when I was a kid, but it was nice to have another Junkion to go alongside Retgar, who obviously is from the movie and does have a special place in my heart for said reason. These are really good figures actually. Their quality is a lot better than I was expecting from KFC, especially early KFC. So yeah, I'm glad I picked both of those up. Moving up, we come to the More Than Meets the Eye Season 1 cast. This is the real hardcore sort of element of my collection. This is the bit that I really wanted to finish and now have. Technically, I should say. I'll discuss why I may not have in a minute. You can see I've got all 3 of the mini bots here. You've got the Bag Cubes take on Huffer there, they're Huff. X Transports Boost, which is the second one I've got. It's the Comitoon version, which has got a more accurate grey colour for the face and chest. The legs are debatable. They sometimes appeared grey, sometimes white in the Toon, so silver seems like a good compromise. And then Bag Cubes Brawny, which is the least accurate now of all of the figures I think I own. I think it's probably the least accurate to the animation model. I do have Fans Toys Hunk on order. That looks a hell of a lot closer, and since they've changed the colour to be more accurate, I think it's going to... Sadly, I don't want to badmouth Brawny because it served a purpose, and I do like it as a take on Brawn. I think it actually is probably more fitting for Brawn to be this short, dumpy, sort of stocky character rather than the lanky leg thing he is in the cartoon. But it is going to blow it away in terms of Toon aesthetics, so it will be swapped out and Brawny will be placed somewhere else, maybe even in alt mode, or maybe just kept in robot mode, looking as a sweet alternate take. I recently picked up the Cell Deco of Mirage MMC Sphinx, which I really like. I think the darker coloured blue is far more animation accurate, and I love the fact that it's so clean looking now. I'm one of the weird guys that does like my Transformers to look like the cartoon and not have half of the sort of the kind of decals that you'd expect a real car to have, but there you go. Which is why obviously I have my trio of MP car bots at the top there, and they've been replaced with Plus versions. So there's Plus Prowl there, which I really like, the sort of more simplified deco on him. And recently, again, one of my more recent acquisitions here is the Plus version of Blue Streak, which is like an entirely different figure, almost. It's got new head and face sculpts which you can swap out. The colour scheme is so much nicer, I think. Really love it. Really great figure now. It's probably my favourite MP car bot, actually. At the back we have Bag Cubes take on Sideswipe, their Steamroll, which I think is a lot better. It's got a few issues, but it's a lot better than the official Masterpiece. I really like it. Aesthetically, it's much more in keeping with the official Masterpiece Sunstreaker, which is another great looking bot. Has a few issues if you look at it from the back, but I'm not looking at my figures from the back most of the time. And here we have the LMC Terraegis, their Trailbreaker, which I think is by far my favourite of the currently available versions. And Fans Toys, if they do eventually get around to releasing Outrider, are going to have to make something special for me to upgrade. I'm sure it will be slightly better made materials wise and probably have a very blingy paint scheme, but this is a really great take on the character. I really like it. It's the only one that's got the sort of tapered chest, so that's why I like it so much. Moving up, we come to some more mini-bots. We've got Bagcube's Grump here, their take on Gears. I really like this, apart from it's obviously got the Bagcube issue with legs and feet, but other than that it's still a really great take. I'm sure someone could do a better take on the character. Obviously recently Fans Toys teased a new Huffer and I believe a Cliff Jumper as well. Huffer, I think Bagcube's sort of version is pretty damn good actually. I'd have to be really impressed with another Huffer to get me to replace that. And similarly Gears would have to be pretty good to get me to replace it, I think. But if someone comes along and does a more accurate version, I wouldn't say that I definitely wouldn't swap it out, you know. One thing I am going to swap out, or at least will compare, is Bumblebee. I have the new MP45 on order, which does look more toon accurate. Whether or not I prefer that when I get it, I don't know, because there's some goofy bits about it, but I do like the look of it. In some respects, I don't know. When it's in hand, I think it'll look better. So that will probably get swapped out at some point, and B here will be an alt mode or another shelf or something. One thing that I do think that Fans Toys will do a better version of Cliff Jumper here. This is obviously X-Transport's Toro. The big issue with this, I do like it, but the big issues with it are the boat feet and the huge backpack. And I'm pretty sure Fans Toys will do a cleaner version based on what they've just done with their Beachcomber, which is a lot cleaner in terms of bot mode than the X-Transport's Arcos. I don't think the alt mode is as good, but certainly the bot mode looks fantastic. So when Fans Toys brings up their Cliff Jumper, I have a feeling I could well replace this guy as well. Here we have the Plus version of Wheeljack. I really like this. I prefer the Plus Deco a lot more, far more than the original one. Here we have Willis, Fans Toys Willis, which will be getting replaced by MP47 Hound when that's released. I don't think Willis is a bad figure, but it's not as toon accurate as Hound will be, so Willis will probably go into alt mode. Here we have easily the best Masterpiece Jazz, so I can't see anything coming along to better this fella for a while. I've still got some random Toy Hack stickers on mine because that's how it came. It was a second-hand one and I don't want to remove them. It's weird because I'm so animation accurate with all my other figures and they shouldn't be on there. Really I want to peel them all off and start again and put, you know, even the Autobot symbols, I didn't put it on completely central, which bugs me, but I don't know, I just for some reason haven't got around to taking them off, but I probably will at some point. Finishing up the Autobots, we have old Ironhide here and Ratchet, both of whom have the Shadow Fisher upgrade kits to remove the hip skirts. Again, I still think these guys are half a head, if not a head too tall. They're not the greatest figures, hence why I admittedly have KOs of them, but they're okay for what they are. You know, I still think there's room for improvement on those moulds. The main guy here in my collection is Transform Elements OP Leader TE01. They're Optimus Prime, my favourite figure of the year, so much so that even having seen pictures and video of MP44 now, I feel like I made the right decision in buying this. I know that the official Optimus has much better articulation, or certainly a wider range of articulation, but to the point of absurdity. You can put it in poses that look completely unnatural, break the sculpt, and no figure would ever need to go into. Whereas this does everything or pretty much everything you would need it to, for some dynamic poses. again, admittedly, the MP44 has a slightly more, and I hate to use this word, but premium finish, and the shape of the torso is not as boxy, so arguably more animation accurate. It doesn't have the runner lights painted, which it shouldn't, and the smokestacks are shorter at the top, which they should be. So in some respects it is more accurate, but it has a gigantic backpack which looks ridiculous. People try and defend it, but it's indefensible. This thing only has a small backpack, arguably too small, but I'd rather have something that's slightly too small than something that's about 3 times the size it should be. You know, people point to certain episodes of The Tomb when he had a massive backpack, but those were animation errors, for God's sake. Other than that, he's pretty close. I mean, you know, again, MP44, the detailing on the hip skirts is probably slightly more accurate, but the way they operate is weird. They look weird when you move the legs. The grille on MP44 looks odd as well. This grille's slightly better. The legs are cleaner on this as well. Just the all-round profile. This is a much cleaner figure, so I don't regret not picking MP44 up. It was just too expensive. I mean, I could afford it, as I said, but there comes a point when it's like, it's not worth the money. I didn't think it was, you know, this was £90, MP44, 360, 370, whatever. It's not worth that 200 and something pound premium for me. If it ever gets KO'd by someone like IT, who did the you know, Infinite Transformations, who did the Megatron and improved upon it, then maybe I'll look at picking it up. But as it is, I'm pretty damn happy with this. So let's move over to the con shelf. Speaking of Infinite Transformations, this is their Megatron, which I picked up for £40 not too long ago, which is an insanely good price for the figure. It does everything that MP36 does, arguably slightly better. I prefer the colour of the deco. I think it's more in keeping with the tune, you know, the lighter plastic, the lighter grey, especially the lighter face, and the black rather than the sort of gunmetal grey. It's just, yeah, it's got a backpack to cover up the kibble at the back. I've upgraded it actually with a kit. It gives it a purple fusion cannon, although it actually did come with a fusion cannon that was purple, I believe. I think it came with, or did it come with, I can't remember if one of the cannons was missing, which is part of the reason it was cheaper, but I forget which one was missing now. I think it might have been the purple one was missing, I had the red one, but anyway. The purple cannon has Frank Welker voice clips. It also came with a few more Kremzik, or a couple more Kremzik, and another back panel, but that was already included. Here we have Masterpiece Soundwave, which is the first Masterpiece figure I ever had. It bought for me as a gift, so it's got a very special place in my heart. It's the one that started it all. I've upgraded it with a kit it's the Hasbro one, so it's now got red eyes thanks to that illuminate, thanks to the kit. The blaster also lights up, and it's got a voice clip tape in there as well. Fans Toys has just announced a much more accurate G1 accurate version of the character, so I'm going to grab that when it comes out. Mainly, I will say, I mean, I do want a more G1 accurate Soundwave, even though this one does stack up, but it will be mainly for the cassettes, because obviously down here we have Rumble Frenzy. Which one is which is up to you. Ravage, and then Laserbeak there, and Buzzsaw at the back. Now the cassettes, at least the renders of the cassettes that come with the new Soundwave or Acoustic Wave from Fans Toys, look a hell of a lot better than these. These are very anemic and a bit cheap looking. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking that one up. Already got that on order from whenever it is eventually released. At the back here we have one of my favourite all-time characters, Shockwave. Never had him as a kid because you could get him in the UK. I did have the grey Astro Magnum stroke Shockwave toy, still do in fact. Alright, he's a bit short compared to his Marvel comic interpretation, but this is very animation accurate, especially the colour. I know they've released a plus version of this in a much darker colour, but that's more, from my mind, it's more a toy version. This, more often than not, Shockwave was a lighter colour in the animation. I know he did appear as both before anyone says, but the animation model sheet is this lighter lavender, lilac colour, whatever you want to call it. So I also added a Shadow Fisher upgrade head to it that lights up rather than being light piped. Yeah, it's one of my favourite figures. It's one of the earlier Masterpiece I bought, and I love it. I think it's great. And I've got a KO Rat Bat there at the back. For my reflector, I initially looked at Make Toys, Mackey Toys, however you want to say it, their reflector, but I like the bot design, but the camera's not great, and also the colours are all over the place. Then I looked at KFC's version because the Fans Toys one wasn't available and was stupidly expensive on the aftermarket. I did have it on order actually, the KFC set for a long time, but it just kept getting put back, and I was never 100% happy with it either. So when these came up on eBay, sorry not eBay actually, on a Facebook group, they were 160 quid, which was quite expensive for what they are, but I just thought, sod it, you know, I'd rather spend the money and get something I'm going to be happier with than wait an unknown amount of time for the KFC ones. And I've had these a year now, and the KFC ones have only just been reissued, admittedly with some improvements, but nothing major, and the colours still don't do it for me. These are far more accurate to my mind, although still not completely accurate, but they are the best available version. I think it's a bit like the difference between the Bag Cube bugs and the Insecticon bug, the Fans Toys bugs. I think the Fans Toys Insecticons are the best. The Bag Cube ones are acceptable, but I would prefer the other, and it's the same. If I'd got the KFC version of Reflector, I would have always wished that I'd had this, so I'm glad I took the opportunity to pick it up. Moving down, we come to the Seekers. We have Meteor, Skycrow, Lightning, or Starscream, Skywalker, and Thundercracker. Love these guys. I know there are a few issues with it, but they're so much better than the Takara Seeker mould. It's untrue, to be honest. There's no competition. I grabbed Meteor was actually the first third-party figure I ever bought, so I just had to have the other two when they came out. It's a bit weird why they went with some of the colour choices they went for. Sorry, I mean in the two, more often than not, Skywalker and Thundercracker have the same sort of silver deco there, but they went for this sort of pale baby blue on Thundercracker. I guess to differentiate them. But I was watching a G1 episode the other night, and one of the Summer episodes, and stood side by side. Skywalker did actually look to have this kind of blue deco on, or this light blue deco. It was really weird, so I wonder if they watched that and just went, oh, actually, this did appear in the tune, even though it's not on the animation sheet. We can do that to differentiate it. So I can kind of see where the inspiration for that came, because that appeared in more than one episode. Although it wasn't the norm, I will say that. So it's more like an animation error maybe that they've incorporated, or maybe it was an early deco that got phased out. I don't know. Anyway, I really like these Seekers. I do have the Coneheads on order as well, although they've been delayed numerous times, but I think Dirge is due to drop in the next month or two, so I'll have to find someone to put those. So moving down now, we come to the Season 3 shelf, or the first Season 3 shelf, and here we have three of my favourite ever characters, certainly three of my favourite Decepticons. We've got Galvatron here, represented by Fans Toys Sovereign, which is a fantastic piece. Easily the best Masterpiece scaled Galvatron. DX9's Tyrant doesn't do it for me at all. The feet are atrocious, it's too tall, it has weird shoulder pylons, it's got strange tracks, the cannon tracks are on the back rather than the arms. I don't know, I just don't like it. I know some people really like it, but I don't. And I think is it the Open and Play Big Cannon or whatever it's called, it's really cheap and plasticky, so that although it's quite a big figure, it just looks like crap. So I'm really glad I got this. It is the reissue. I was lucky enough to pick up on the reissue, having missed it first time around, because it's pretty rare now and goes for some serious money. So yeah, it's a great looking figure. At the back, I've got X-Transbot's Andras, which is currently the only Masterpiece scaled Scourge around, but it's still a pretty damn good figure. I mean, it does have well documented issues with the feet. It's a shell former, but by design really. I love the sort of clawed hands, the pink hands. Some of the colour choices are weird. Again, depending on what episode you watch. Like in the US, Scourge had a blue body with sort of grey accents on the legs, midriff and arms. But in the Headmasters, the Japanese Headmasters, he did have this baby blue, pink, sort of powder blue colour. So I can see they took inspiration from that rather than the US version, which explains why it's got that deco. So it's not technically incorrect, but it's not. I would prefer that, you know, if and when Fans Toys eventually releases the one they teased years ago, I would hope it would be grey there rather than the blue. And also I hope they don't use a light up gimmick, because it's rubbish and it gives him these dead, lifeless eyes. I do have a spare head that X-Transport sent me, along with some other spare parts because of paint chipping, so I should really get around to painting the eyes, but I just, like a lot of things, I haven't. And obviously he comes with his Target Master partner there. But he's still, I think Andras looks the part. Here we have the most recent figure in my collection. This is the Toon repaint of Quietus, so Fans Toys' second Cyclonus in a year. It has a more screen accurate or movie accurate deco. He's more purple here, still not as deep a purple as he should be to my mind, but a more purple colour scheme, and more importantly he has the pink limbs and face that he really desperately was needing from the first one. This is the deco they should have released the first time around. It's elevated the figure immensely in my mind. I was disappointed with the original release. I could put my finger on why. It was partly because of the deco and partly for other aesthetic choices, but while I still have some issues with it in that I think it's too short and slight for Cyclonus, certainly for the cartoon, the animation version of Cyclonus, I think this new deco goes a long way towards addressing the balance, and that's why it's now replaced the X-Transbots Elagos as my display piece next to Galvatron and Scourge. That's only something I did yesterday actually. I decided that I wanted to see how he looked, and when I did it I thought, yeah, although he's not this massive enforcer, he does look the part. I think the paint matches Sovereign pretty well, so that's why he's staying there for the time being at least. Obviously he comes with his Target Master down there as well. Moving down to the last shelf, we come to the third Masterpiece scale Cyclonus, the second Masterpiece scale Cyclonus that we've come to yet. Sorry, the third Cyclonus in my display, if you take the original G1 into consideration. This is the original FT29 Quietus. As you can see, it's more of a blurple, a blue-purple colour. If I scroll back up there, you should hopefully... It does actually look like it's coming out on camera for once. It usually doesn't. Purple's a very notoriously difficult colour to capture on camera. But I think that shows that this is a lot more of a blue. It's actually more of a blue colour that people wanted Galvatron to be, due to his showing in the movie, but I digress. It shows him a bit bluer on camera than it actually does in person. It is a little bit more purple in person, but it's still definitely not as purple as the one that's just been re-released. And obviously it has very white limbs and face and stuff, other extremities. I was going to sell this because I wanted to recoup the cost of the T variant, but I thought before I do that I'm going to take the opportunity to do something I haven't done before, which is to convert it into IDW mode. So I added all of these bits, you know, the armour, the IDW head, the one with the broken horns, the IDW face, the swords, and the rust rifle, which I've never used before. And having done that, I think I've just cost myself about 150 quid because I've kind of fallen in love with it in this mode. I think it looks great. It's a completely different take on the character, one that I'm not really that familiar with, but it looks spot on to my mind. It's a really nice looking figure. Even if it's not really Cyclonus that I'm used to, it's a brilliant take on the character aesthetically. And I can see why Fans Toys went like this, because their version is more of a hybrid between the movie version, the IDW, the toy, the comic or whatever, so that's why it's not completely faithful to the animation model. I think now it's almost made me want to pick up a copy of, what was his name? Whatever X-Transbots Hatch was called. Oh, he was called Hatch, wasn't he? That's what he's called, he's Hatch, which is their tailgate, so that I can pair him with this Cyclonus. Even though I've never been a fan of the IDW comics, I realise there's some history between the two, so it would just be quite a fun thing to do. I also have the Nemesis Prime repaint of TE01. which I love. I covered that in a video. I waxed lyrical about that for some time. It's a great looking figure. You can see it can pull off some nice dynamic poses. I mean, this is just something I did quickly earlier. It's not even the full range of motion, but it's just such a clean figure. As I say, it's not, I don't know, I can see why some people will prefer MP44, the mould, but for me, this is a really, really great looking prime mould, and I love this deco. I even think the V1 head looks good on it, although I am toying with the idea of swapping it out for the V2 just so it matches up with the Optimus Prime I have as well. So we have Nemesis and Optimus with the same sort of face, mainly because of the cut in the crest on the V1, which isn't present on the V2. Anyway, great figure, great deco. Here is the third Masterpiece scale Cyclonus, my original Cyclonus. It was X-Transbots Elagos, and I think it's a great figure. I don't care what people say. I know it gets a lot of flack, but I really like it. I think it's a big, beefy bot. It's the scale's more appropriate for Galvatron. The colours arguably more accurate. Certainly the detailing on the wings is more accurate to the Toon, and the horns and various other places are slightly more accurate as well, like the midriff, the chest. There's some panel detailing on the chest that isn't supposed to be there, but by and large it's pretty accurate. Like I say, I think the colours are more accurate. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird because it does get a lot of flack, but I really like it. I'd have preferred that they kept the pink limbs and face. They dialed it right down from the test shots because of the fan backlash, which was a mistake, I believe. I've actually just recently swapped the face over to be the one with the goatee. I had the non-goatee version for a long time. It does have a bit of a soft face sculpt, and I think a lot of that is because they dialed the pink colour back. It doesn't bring it out as well, but when you look at it up close, it's actually pretty good. The biggest problem with the figure is the lower legs. They look like garbage, and the Fans Toys version clearly wins in that department. But if you look at it like this, from where those lower extremities are obscured, I think it looks pretty damn good. So it's not going anywhere. I'm going to keep it, and I'll probably rotate it in my display depending on my mood. And I'm hoping eventually that we'll get an X-Transbots Galvatron. They're a bad 'un. I'm hoping they will eventually do it. Probably won't, but I'm hoping they will. So that when Fans Toys does their Scourge, I can have two teams of the Unicronian Heralds, because I'm obsessed with the characters, to be honest. They're my favourite, some of my favourite characters from Transformers lore. And finally we come on to Hydra, which is, it's a bit of a meh, to be honest. It's a nice looking figure, but that's about all I can say about it. I'm not really, I don't have any affinity for Six Shot. I haven't even bothered to faction symbol him up because I've kind of thought, well, he can be the Headmaster's version, who was a non-aligned character almost. I didn't really want to put faction symbols on him because I couldn't really decide where I wanted them. It's a nice enough looking figure. It's very accurate, but it's just really plain and a bit boring, to be honest. I got it predominantly, or primarily I should say, sorry, because it's about the same size as Magnus, and I wanted a big bot to go up against him because no one else did. Yeah, it's okay, not great. The transformations are a bit of a pain. He looks good in Wolf mode, but I can't be bothered to put him into the other fairly samey alt modes. The QC issues on mine are very limited. Like, some have had quite bad issues, but mine is I've got a slightly loose right knee. Other than that, he's pretty solid, but then I haven't really manipulated him too much, which is probably why. But yeah, a bit of a meh, nothing character for me, but I don't regret getting it. I think it does a job on the shelf. So that's my collection as of August, the last day of August 2019. As I say, I have a few more things on order. Masterpiece Bumblebee and Hound, Jabba, Dirge, the Fans Toys Brawn, and a few things beyond that as well, I believe. As I say, Soundwave and some stuff that's probably not due out until next year, but by and large I'm done. Apart from those three characters, I've actually got everything I really want. Everything else now is just going to be gravy, so or incremental gains on updated figures. But Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look at my collection. I really should look at investing in some shelves so I can get them out of these cramped detolfs, but maybe that will come at some point in the future. Anyway, as I said, I hope you've enjoyed this quick look, and well, I say quick look, it's almost an hour now, isn't it? But I hope you've enjoyed this rather lengthy look, I should say, and that you enjoy some of my other content. As I say, it's all very amateur. I don't do this professionally like a lot of other YouTubers. It's just me talking about my hobby. So appreciate you dropping by to have a look and sharing in my collection with me. And yeah, if any of you guys have got your own collection videos, drop me a link and I'll have a look, and we can check each other's collections out. Until next time, take care and have fun.